I had been with Sophie Shaw for 4 years and our relationship had always been stable. But on the eve of my birthday, she suddenly and decisively broke up with me. Urged on by my best friend, I took an overnight train to see her, but on a bustling city street, I stumbled upon her passionately kissing my best friend. Chapter 1. When I found Sophie with a bouquet of flowers in hand, she was wrapped in my best friend Samuel Ford's arms, lost in a passionate kiss while a crowd cheered them on. The September air was scorching, but standing at a nearby intersection, I felt a chill seep deep into my bones. The overnight train ride had left my body exhausted. The noisy crowd in front of me made my head spin. Wow, I can't believe they're finally together. They make such a handsome couple. I know, right? They've been flirting for so long, and now it's official hearing their cheers. My hands holding the gift and flowers went limp, and I let them drop. Just 10 minutes ago, Samuel had been texting me. Sophie's at the intersection over here. Come find her. I'm sure she'll get back together with you. Was he doing this on purpose? Chapter 2. A breeze picked up from somewhere. I shivered and rubbed my arms, fighting back the sickness in my stomach. I just wanted to turn and leave. But suddenly, I heard Samuel's frantic voice behind me. He rushed to block my path. Buddy, it's not what it looks like. I didn't want to hear it. I was too tired. I had been on the train for so long that my body ached, and seeing him with my girlfriend made my heart ache too. I didn't want to know why Samuel, who had just been encouraging me to win Sophie back, was now kissing her right in front of me. Looking at the hand grabbing my arm, I emotionlessly shook it off. Seeing my reaction, the healthy color drained from Samuel's face. He panicked and grabbed Sophie's wrist, pulling her in front of me. His voice was thick with a sense of grievance he couldn't suppress. "Clark, don't be mad. Let Sophie explain, okay?" Sophie said nothing. She just took Samuel's hand in hers and looked at him gently. "You don't like me? Why are you explaining to him?" I watched them, my face a blank mask. Samuel looked at me with a guilty expression, but his eyes were full of pride. I was the one who was hurt. What right did he have to feign guilt? The scene grew tense. The crowd around us started casting curious glances our way. Seeing Samuel's posture, Sophie immediately turned and pointed an accusing finger at me. "Who told you to come here? We broke up a long time ago." I stared at her coldly. I had traveled for a day and a night on a train, filled with the hope of reconciling with her, only to be met with a cold-hearted interrogation. I felt the last flicker of hope inside me being utterly extinguished by them. I let out a cold laugh and was about to turn and leave. But then, a familiar, clear voice came from behind me. "I'm the one who called him here. What about it? Is there a problem?" I spun around. As I lifted my eyes, I saw a slender, graceful figure standing nearby, like a flawless crescent moon. Victoria Lancaster glanced at me with a lazy air, then suddenly smiled, her tone teasingly affectionate. "Why did you bring a gift? Didn't I tell you not to bring anything?" Chapter 3. I never thought I'd see Victoria Lancaster again. She was thinner and taller, no longer the girl from my memory. The last time we'd met was at my middle school graduation. I remember that day was also the day my family went bankrupt and moved away. Back then she was still small and skinny, clinging to me at my front gate, refusing to let go. She kept saying she didn't want me to leave, but her parents heartlessly pulled her away. I never imagined that after 4 years she would have grown into the woman she was today. Sophie turned to face Victoria, looking displeased. "Victoria, why did you call him here?" As soon as Sophie finished speaking, Victoria shot her a dismissive glance and walked straight to my side. She reached out and took the cake and flowers from my hands. "He's my boyfriend. What does me calling him here have to do with you?" Because of what Victoria said, I was forced to play the part of her boyfriend and attend the party celebrating her new relationship status. The atmosphere was awkward, but I had been on a train for a day and a night. I had been so nervous that I hadn't eaten anything, and now I was starving. So instead of feeling heartbroken, I had a good appetite and took a few extra bites. Perhaps seeing that I wasn't reacting, Samuel kept looking up at me, pecking at the food on his plate without any real interest. Sophie was annoyed, so she used her own chopsticks to place some food in Samuel's bowl. What's the use of looking at him? It won't fill your stomach. When he still didn't move, Sophie frowned, shot me a hostile glare, and said directly, "What are you looking at him for? Don't worry. No one here will dare to say anything bad about you." Although Sophie was speaking to Samuel, her eyes were locked on me. My pent-up emotions from the day finally erupted. I slammed my chopsticks on the table and stared directly at Sophie. "Make yourself clear. How exactly did I bully him?" Sophie probably hadn't expected me to snap. For a moment, she didn't know how to respond. She simply scowled and fell silent. I turned to Samuel and asked him directly, "Did I bully you, or did you do something to wrong me?" "You know the answer in your heart." Samuel quickly shook his head, not daring to look at me. As the tension in the room grew thicker, Victoria peeled a shrimp, placed it in front of me, and glanced at Sophie. Her tone was light and casual as she spoke. "Your boyfriend seems quite scared of people. Maybe you shouldn't bring him out next time." Victoria's words were blunt. Many people at the table immediately broke into smirks, and one person couldn't hold back and laughed out loud. Hearing the snickers around him, Samuel's face went through a kaleidoscope of colors. He quickly made an excuse and left the room. With the main actor gone, the others wiped the smiles from their faces and started chatting enthusiastically again. By the time the meal was almost over, I was feeling tired and planned to leave early. Victoria had just gone out to pay the bill, so I got up and followed her. I wanted to thank her. Even though we grew up together, things were different now. The Lancaster family was more successful than ever, but my own family. Thinking about my current situation, I could only manage a helpless smile. I followed Victoria out of the private room just as her phone rang. I simply stood a few steps away, waiting for her to finish her call. Victoria paused in her tracks and, seeing me behind her, smiled. "I'll call you back." After Victoria hung up, she turned to me, a hint of barely perceptible warmth in her voice. "What's wrong?" "Thank you for everything today. You really helped me out." I looked at her and suddenly felt a sense of surreal displacement, as if a lifetime had passed. It was as if one moment we were promising to face the world together, and the next so much time had separated us. Victoria leaned against the wall, her gaze soft as she looked at me. Just as I was feeling lost, she suddenly asked, sincere, "Do you remember the promise you made to me the day before you left?" I froze. In an instant, my mind was transported back to that hot summer. My family's company had gone bankrupt due to mismanagement. My parents were busy liquidating assets and settling debts, with no time to spare for me. So they often left me to stay at Victoria's house, right up until the day before we moved. I was still making plans with Victoria, promising that we would go to the amusement park together the next day. But when the next day came, I broke my promise. At this thought, a bitter smile touched my lips. "The amusement park? Yes. Let's go to the amusement park tomorrow." "With me?" "Of course." I looked up at her, surprised, but she nodded firmly. She looked at me with such gentle eyes that seemed to hold a galaxy of stars. She just stared at me with such conviction that all the hurt I had been suppressing surged up again. I lowered my head, unable to look at her any longer, and my voice came out hoarse. "Thank you. I'll treat you to a movie another time." Victoria just stared at me blankly. Just when I thought she wouldn't say anything more, she suddenly spoke. "Okay, fiancé." All my feelings of hurt vanished instantly, replaced by a flush of heat that spread across my face as I stood there, rooted to the spot. Victoria and I had grown up together. When we were kids, our parents would always joke that since we were so close, we should get engaged when we grew up. Back then, I would always firmly refuse. I never thought it would be brought up again now. Chapter 4. In the end, Victoria had to leave early for some business. I was planning to go to the restroom and then head back to my hotel, but I saw Samuel at the restroom entrance. He was standing at the door, lost in thought. It was obvious he was waiting for me. There were some telltale marks on his neck. When he saw me come out of the restroom, he immediately rushed forward and grabbed my hand. I'm sorry, Clark, I'm so sorry. I don't know how this happened. Please forgive me. I gave him a disgusted look and shook him off. I pulled out my phone and asked coldly, "You said you booked a hotel for me at the old spot. How much was it? I'll transfer you the money." Samuel froze, the apology on his face deepening instantly. "Sorry, Clark, I've been so busy I forgot." My hand, poised to transfer the money, paused. I suddenly took a good hard look at Samuel. For 3 years in high school, we were inseparable. After Sophie and I broke up, he was the one who encouraged me to come here and try to get back together with her. He even said he had booked a hotel for me in advance, that all I had to do was show up. And now, I put my phone away and stared at him with ice in my eyes. "Samuel, you did this on purpose." "No, Clark, I really didn't. It's just that all the hotels near the university were full, and Sophie has been so clingy. How about this? You can stay in my dorm room tonight." Looking at his face, which was a mask of apology, I only felt sick. I turned to leave, but Samuel blocked my way again. "Clark, I forgot to tell you. Victoria has a boyfriend. What she did earlier, she was just trying to help you out. Don't get the wrong idea," I scoffed. His ability to play the victim was truly next level. I ignored him and walked away. Samuel tried to follow, but he tripped on the step at the entrance and fell flat on the floor. Blood instantly started trickling from his forehead and wrist. "What are you doing?" Sophie had appeared at the restroom entrance from somewhere and rushed to help him up. "Why did you push him? I'm the one who wanted to break up, and I'm the one who likes him. What right do you have to push him? Sincere, how can you be so vicious?" I stared at her, stunned, then looked at Samuel leaning against her. His eyes seemed to hold a universe of grievances, but he didn't say a single word to defend me. Chapter 5. Samuel was taken to the hospital, and because I was involved, Sophie dragged me along. The doctor looked at Samuel's wounds, sighed lightly, and asked, "How did you get hurt so badly? You're bleeding so much." Hearing the doctor's words, Sophie's face darkened as she glared at me. "Sincere, Samuel's bleeding so much. Are you satisfied now? Are you happy?" I glanced at Samuel and saw that he had no intention of explaining. So I took a deep breath and shot back. He fell on his own. What does that have to do with me? If he doesn't watch where he's going, is he going to blame the floor for not being even? Sophie's expression grew even darker, her eyes cold as she stared at me. "Sincere, stop pretending. Don't think I don't know why you came here. It's just that I'm with him now, and it bothers you so much that you had to push him and get him hurt. Sincere, you're so pathetic." I looked at her disgusted expression and felt like our 4 years together had been a complete waste. When my family went bankrupt, we moved next door to Sophie. Because of the move and changing schools, my grades plummeted. But Sophie fell for me at first sight, staying after school every day to help me with my studies. Even now, I still remember the words she said when she confessed her feelings to me. I never doubted her sincerity, but sincerity can be fleeting. Looking at the person in front of me now, I realized with stark clarity I regretted it all. A heavy sense of powerlessness washed over my entire body. But I forced myself to stay upright, pulled out my phone, and without hesitation dialed 911. The moment I said, "911, what's your emergency?" Sophie rushed at me. She forcibly snatched the phone from my hand and smashed it on the ground. "Enough, how long are you going to keep this up? I don't want to see you. Get out." I looked at my shattered phone on the floor, bent down to pick up the pieces, and with a sudden surge of fury, threw them at Sophie's face. A fragment of the phone grazed her cheek, leaving a thin red cut. I came here to get back together with her, not to be humiliated by her. I watched her stand there, stunned, then turned to a nurse who was watching us. "Excuse me, could you please call the police for me? The phone she just destroyed was worth $900. Once I saw the nurse making the call, I finally allowed my body to give out, and I slumped to the floor. But as I fell, a familiar scent filled my nostrils again. Victoria's cool voice came from above me. "Are you all right?" Chapter 6. I nodded weakly. The doctor checked me over and confirmed I was just dizzy from the stress, then gave me some advice and left. Victoria helped me to a nearby seat, her eyes fixed firmly on Samuel. Samuel, looking guilty, hugged Sophie. I don't really remember what happened. There was no warmth in Victoria's eyes. We'll know when the police get here. We'll see the security footage and know for sure if he was pushed. When the police arrived, I explained everything, including why I had come here in the first place. After hearing my story, the police retrieved the security footage from the restaurant. After watching it, one of the officers pointed out that my hand was nowhere near Samuel. Your hand was this far away from him. How can you say he pushed you? Samuel's face turned pale. I don't know. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sophie's heart went out to him. She gently shielded him. It's okay, it's okay. If you don't remember, you don't remember. Her attitude was a complete reversal from moments before, just like how she used to comfort me. But I took Victoria's phone and pulled up a payment app. Officer, he's the reason my brand new phone got smashed. It was worth $900. Pay up. Sophie, who was busy comforting Samuel, hadn't expected me to say that, and her face instantly turned awkward. Although my family was bankrupt, Samuel's family was still not as well off as mine had been. His parents were just regular employees. They could only give him a couple of $100s for a monthly allowance, and he was a big spender, often needing me to help him out. Hearing me suddenly demand money from him, the expression on his face became more colorful than a painter's palette. But with the police present, he managed to scrape the money together and transfer it to me. Yet when he saw Victoria helping me to leave, his expression turned even darker. Chapter 7. After leaving the hospital, I got into Victoria's car. Thank you so much for today. Victoria didn't answer. Get some good sleep. We're going to the amusement park tomorrow. I then realized that the car had, at some point, stopped in a high-end residential complex. Victoria led me out of the car and into an elevator, where she pressed the button for the 6th floor. As the elevator ascended, I turned my head away, feeling a bit awkward. Are your mom and dad home? No, I live in this apartment by myself. Just then, the elevator doors opened. Victoria stepped out first, and I followed slowly behind her. When she opened the apartment door, I changed into slippers in the entryway and walked inside. The decor was minimalist, with only black, white, and gray, but it had a refreshingly clean feel. Chapter 8. Victoria led me straight to the master bedroom and handed me a new set of pajamas from the closet. These are for you. I'll sleep in the guest room next door. Don't worry, the sheets and duvet cover are all new. Thanks. Victoria smiled and left me alone in the room. I was so exhausted from the day that after a quick shower, I fell asleep the moment my head hit the pillow. I didn't wake up until noon the next day. Seeing a new phone on the pillow next to me, I got dressed and walked out to the living room. Victoria was sitting on the gray fabric sofa, casually reading the news on her laptop. When she saw me, she put the computer down. You're up. Yeah. There's food on the table. We can head to the amusement park after you eat. Following her reminder, I looked at the delicious-looking meal on the table. I quickly went to the bathroom to wash up before eating. By the time I finished, Victoria was ready to go. I followed her down to the underground garage. The car headed towards the amusement park. When we arrived, as soon as I got out of the car, Victoria casually handed me her bag. Hold this for me, fiancé. After saying that, she leaned against my shoulder quite naturally. My body stiffened. Just as I was about to pull away, Victoria's lips brushed against my ear. Sophie is behind us. Sure enough, just as I processed her words, I heard Samuel's voice from behind. I frowned and pulled Victoria directly towards the roller coaster. Samuel was afraid of heights, so he definitely wouldn't follow us there. It was a good chance to shake them off and avoid the aggravation. But when the staff was seating us on the ride, Samuel and Sophie were seated right next to us. Samuel was holding Sophie's hand. When he saw me, he spoke anxiously. Clark, I called out to you just now. You didn't hear me, right? He looked at me with hopeful eyes as if he genuinely wanted me to nod. But I turned my head away and started talking to Victoria instead. Once everyone was secured, the roller coaster shot forward, startling everyone on board. As the coaster flew through turn after turn, I started screaming along with the people around me. By the time the ride returned to the start, the frustration in my heart had mostly dissipated. I jumped off the coaster, exhilarated. Samuel, on the other hand, was a different story. His steps were unsteady, and he had to be practically carried off by Sophie. His face was pale, and he looked terrified. I looked at him with disgust, but Samuel seemed oblivious to my revulsion. "Clark, why do you keep ignoring me?" I didn't answer him, but Samuel's voice suddenly grew louder. "Sincere Clark, I thought you would wish me well." I was speechless at his question. I turned around and faced him, my expression blank. "You liked her, yet you told me to go get back with her, and then you put on a show in front of me." "Samuel, are you nuts?" Samuel seemed stunned by my words and immediately tried to explain. "Sophie is so wonderful, and we're at the same university, spending every day together. I couldn't help but fall for her. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not getting into the same university as us. Then why did you tell me to come here and get back together with her because I liked her too? I couldn't control my feelings. I never even planned to be with her. But she confessed to me, and I couldn't resist." "Clark, enough." Seeing Samuel's crumbling expression, I cut him off coldly. "You got with my ex-girlfriend, and now you have the nerve to ask for my forgiveness." "Samuel, how did I never realize how brazen you are?" My words left Samuel stunned. "It's all my fault. I'm sorry. I'll break up with her. Is that what you want?" Samuel yelled his last sentence and then ran off. Chapter 9. Sophie, of course, heard only that last line. Seeing me, she grabbed my arm violently. "What did you say to Samuel? Why should he have to break up with me?" I looked down at her hand on my wrist. "Nothing. We just ended our friendship, that's all." Sophie let out a bitter laugh and shoved me away. "Sincere, aren't you pathetic? Threatening to end your friendship to make him break up with me. I didn't hold a knife to his throat, nor did I threaten to kill him. If he wants to break up with you, that's between you two. What does it have to do with me?" Sophie refused to listen to my explanation. Instead, she grabbed my wrist again and tried to drag me away. "You're coming with me. I want you to explain to Samuel in person. Are you out of your damn mind?" The anger that had been building for days finally exploded. I tore my arm from her grasp. Sophie's face turned completely cold. She pointed to someone in the distance. "See that? That's Victoria's real boyfriend. Do you really think Victoria would be interested in you? She's a legitimate heiress from a wealthy family. Now look at you. What do you have to compare with him? And you still think you're Victoria's one true love." I followed her gaze and saw Victoria standing off to the side, smiling as she watched a boy who was clearly having a great time. The boy was dressed in designer casual wear. Even from a distance, I could tell the clothes were well made and expensive. He grinned as he took the water Victoria had bought for me, and she affectionately ruffled his hair. Sophie continued her verbal assault. "Sincere, we're broken up. It's perfectly natural for me and Samuel to be together. Do you think you can stand on some moral high ground and judge us? Let me tell you what you're doing right now. You're the homewrecker." After her tirade, Sophie gave me a scornful look and left without waiting for a reaction. I ignored her and walked directly towards Victoria. When I was just a few steps away, Victoria noticed me. The boy in front of her, who had been chatting away, immediately changed his expression the moment he saw me. "Clark, it really is you." The boy ran over to me excitedly and threw an arm around my shoulders. I hugged him back. "You too, kiddo." Leo Lancaster was Victoria's younger cousin. When we were kids, he was always my and Victoria's little tag-along. "Clark, let me tell you, my sister is so into you, her house is full of your pictures. You little rascal, aren't your friends waiting for you? Get going." Victoria's expression changed. She quickly clamped a hand over Leo's mouth and pushed him away. "He's talking nonsense, don't mind him," Victoria said, looking completely embarrassed. "He's talking nonsense, don't mind him," I repeated, looking at her as Leo walked away. Chapter 10. We had a great time after that, until the sun sank below the horizon and night fell. I sat on a bench in the plaza, reminiscing with Victoria about our childhood. At some point, a firework suddenly lit up the distant sky, then 2, 3, 4, until the night sky was covered in a brilliant display of fireworks. The crowd around us was buzzing with life. A gentle breeze cut through the people, bringing a touch of coolness to the hot summer evening. Everyone was watching the fireworks, except for Victoria. I looked up and met her intense gaze. "Sincere, can you consider me?" Chapter 11. As the fireworks show ended, the flow of people resumed. I strolled along behind Victoria. She went to buy me some ice cream, and as I stood waiting, I received a call from an unknown number. "Clark, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, okay? Are you ever going to stop? Sincere, as long as you don't forgive me, I will never agree to get back together with Sophie." My hand, which was about to hang up, paused, and I put the phone back to my ear. "Samuel, are you trying to moral blackmail me? What does you getting back with her have to do with me? A scumbag and a bitch, may you live happily ever after." I hung up just as Victoria returned with the ice cream. "Let's go." I followed her, my heart fluttering with uncertainty. I had been in a relationship before, but I'd never been in a situation like this. What was this? Getting together with my childhood best friend? As I was lost in thought, we ran into Sophie again. Sophie looked at Victoria, her expression sour. "Are you two really together? What do you think?" Victoria replied, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Sophie then turned a disdainful look on me. "Sincere, have you no shame? Getting involved in someone else's relationship. How can you face your parents? Can you?" I shot back with a sarcastic laugh. Sophie looked at me in disbelief. "But you were clearly here to ask you to get back together with me? Sophie, your ego is something else." Sophie, not expecting me to say that, seemed to have concocted some new fantasy in her head. "Sincere, if you're willing to move here after graduation, I might still consider getting back together with you." Seeing Sophie's look of magnanimous compromise, Victoria simply slapped her across the face. "Psycho." Get lost Samuel appeared from out of nowhere. He rushed to shield Sophie and looked at me accusingly. "Sincere, I'm the one who wronged you. But she's my girlfriend now. What right does that woman next to you have to hit her?" I looked at the scene before me and could only find it laughable. Indeed, they were a perfect match, 2 peas in a pod. Chapter 12. I suddenly lost all interest in the drama. I grabbed Victoria's hand and we left. On the day I was leaving, Victoria drove me to the airport. In the terminal, Victoria confessed her feelings to me once more. "Sincere, I like you. You don't have to come to me. I'll come to you. We won't have a long-distance relationship. So can you give me a chance?" I couldn't bring myself to look at her, nor did I know how to answer. Victoria seemed to sense what I was thinking. She took my hand. "Don't rush to give me an answer, just leave everything to me, okay?" I nodded and boarded the plane back to Clearwater University. Chapter 13. After that, Victoria and I returned to our old routine. We only exchanged a few texts now and then. We couldn't help it. We were busy, very busy. I was busy studying for my grad school entrance exams, and Victoria was busy managing her family's business. We were both swamped. Just when I thought things would continue this way, I suddenly saw Victoria at the entrance of my dorm building. She looked the same, but she seemed more mature, with a new air of decisiveness in her eyes. "Sincere." "Yeah." I walked up and gave her a hug. I knew she had gone through a lot of trouble to be able to stay near the university. After all, her family's business empire was based in F City. Victoria hugged me under a tree, whispering softly in my ear. "Sincere, I missed you." "Me too." My roommates knew all about what I had been through. Now, seeing Victoria here, they all looked at her with excitement. I took Victoria's hand, feeling a bit awkward. This was the dorm entrance, with so many people around. I led Victoria away from the building. We walked along a small path just off campus, chatting idly. I learned from our conversation that her university had let out for break early, so she had come to look at apartments, having decided to settle here permanently. We walked to a movie theater nearby, and I suddenly remembered something I hadn't done yet. "Victoria, let's go see a movie." "Okay." Victoria agreed without hesitation and walked into the theater with me. Chapter 14. Technically, this was our first date, so we both took it seriously. But as luck would have it, when we came out, we ran into Sophie and Samuel again. They were arguing. Samuel must have said something to provoke Sophie, because she was staring at him with a livid expression. I didn't pay them much attention. I just took Victoria's hand and we walked away. Sophie seemed to have seen us, because her argument with Samuel grew even more heated. What I didn't expect was that the next day, the internet was flooded with posts about me. Someone claiming to be Samuel's friend had posted online, alleging that I was not only involved with a rich girl but also fooling around with Samuel's girlfriend on the side. The post even claimed I was moral blackmailing Samuel, demanding that he break up with his girlfriend. As the post went viral, people quickly found my social media accounts, and many of them flooded my comments with insults. I looked at the online comments with a wry smile. I wasn't going to take this lying down. I made a PowerPoint presentation laying out the whole story from the beginning, complete with pictures and proof, and posted it online. Soon the online mob realized they had been played. They turned on Samuel's account, leading to all his personal information being leaked. But it didn't stop there. Some people contacted his university demanding the expulsion of such a morally corrupt student. Samuel was called in by his professors. I heard that although the matter was eventually resolved, his grades took a nosedive. Even Sophie was affected by the scandal. The university rejected her application for grad school. And just as I received this news, my own acceptance letter for graduate school arrived. I smiled calmly, no longer paying any attention to their affairs. After all, their lives were not worth my concern. I had many more important things to do.